In this video, I want us to try and vibe code a fully functioning iOS drawing app in SwiftUI using the newly released O3 model and ChatGPT Chat Bar. In this example, we already have an Xcode project. So to begin, we need to provide a context for the model. So let's create a starter file. I will select this folder, O304, and control-click it, and choose the option New File from Template. We will leave it as a SwiftUI view and click Next. Let's call the file O3 Pencil Kit Drawing and create it. Once we have the file selected in Xcode, we can provide it as context for ChatGPT Chat Bar. To launch the chat bar, you should make sure the ChatGPT app is already opened. Next, you select the file you want to provide as context. Then you press Option and space to launch the chat bar. You have noticed here we already have the file as context. One great thing about the chat bar is that we can move it around the Xcode window. So I can move it somewhere here and release it, or move it to a corner. Once you launch the chat bar, you have noticed here by default 4O is selected. So let's change that and select O3. Next, I will add a prompt to create a SwiftUI drawing app using the Pencil Kit framework. Since we have already provided this file as context, I will ask the model to modify this code instead. So we want to modify the code to create a SwiftUI freeform drawing app using the Pencil Kit framework. Let's send a prompt to see what we will get. So it is now thinking and generating the code. We now have the generated code. So once you generate the code this way, we have two buttons here, Review and Apply. Let's apply the changes and move this somewhere. So without doing anything with the code, I'm going to resume the preview and see what we have. So we have a title, the drawing canvas, and a tool picker. So we can pick any of these tools to start drawing on the canvas. It seems like each of the tools is working fine. We can also change the color by selecting different color types. You have noticed with just a simple short prompt, we have been able to create a functional SwiftUI drawing app using the O3 model. So let's go through the code. To create a drawing app for iOS, you can use SwiftUI Canvas or use the framework called Pencil Kit. Pencil Kit is not supported by SwiftUI by default. So to use Pencil Kit in SwiftUI, over here in the code, we create a struct and make it conform to UI view representable. First, it generated this struct, which conforms to a SwiftUI view. And over here, we define these properties. Pencil Kit Canvas view, which allows you to draw on the canvas. Then we have Pencil Kit Tool Picker. That is the tool picker displayed over here. In the body of some view, we bring this struct that conforms to UI view representable. For this struct, we define these binding properties. Then we define a function to make drawing with all these properties. The one that is worth mentioning is this one, any input. If I put a period here, we have different options, any input, default, and pencil only. These options allow users to draw with Apple Pencil or draw with the finger. So if you leave the option as any input, users can draw with Apple Pencil or using the finger. Next, we have another function, which is called the anytime something changes on the canvas. So now our vibe-coded drawing app is in its basic form. Let's add more functionalities. For example, it would be a good idea to have a button somewhere here so that once you draw anything on the canvas, you can tap the button to clear it. So let's add another prompt, like add a toolbar button to clear the canvas. So it is going to make the changes so that we can also apply it in the end. You have noticed it made some modifications. So let's click apply. In the preview, we now have a bin icon to clear the canvas. Let's see whether it works or not. So by tapping that, we clear the canvas completely. We can also add more functionalities. For example, adding another toolbar buttons to undo and redo. It will now go ahead and modify the code further so that we can apply the changes in the end as the previous example. You can also auto-apply the code as it was shown, but it will be a good idea to review the changes before you apply. So we can now start drawing on the canvas. Then we use the undo or redo. They all work perfectly. So let's look at how these icons were added. In SwiftUI, to add an action button in the toolbar, you need to add the toolbar modifier to a view. So here we have the canvas. We add the toolbar modifier. Inside the toolbar modifier, we can define toolbar item group. Then we position the toolbar items at the leading section, the principal section, which is the center, or the trailing section, which is the top right. So we have all the three buttons positioned at the trailing section. Let's change the title to, for example, O3 Draw. Let's add our last functionality. We want to save whatever we draw on the canvas. So let's add another button to the leading section of the toolbar to save whatever we draw on the canvas. So I'll go ahead and add another prompt. So once we send the prompt, it is going to add another button to the top left. So it made changes to the toolbar and added this part. I'll click apply. However, we now have 4 errors. So let's fix those errors. Now all the errors are gone and we have a button to save the drawing. So we can start to draw anything on the canvas and save it. We cannot do that in the preview, so the app crashed. However, we can go ahead and test it on the simulator. So I'll change the device from my iPhone and select iPhone 16 Pro Max. Then I'll make sure we have this file at the entry point of the app. So let's put a comment here and put O3 pencil kit drawing. Then I'm going to run the app. So let's try drawing anything on the canvas and see if we can save it to the Photos album. So we have a warning here. You have noticed the app crashed because we wanted to access privacy sensitive data. So let's minimize the console and go back to the project navigator. What we need to do is to select the root folder and go to the info tab. In the info tab, you have noticed we have key and value pairs. So we have to add the privacy for Photos library usage description. To add a new privacy, you can hover on any of these items. And once you do that, you have noticed we have a plus button. Let's click that and go to the section privacy. Then we look for Photos library usage description. That is this one. For the value field, we can enter a custom string. This string will show to the user for the first time they use the app. So let's say, for example, O3 Draw would like to use your Photos library, and press the return key to save the changes. Then we can run the app once more. You have now noticed we have a pop-up that says O3 Draw would like to use your Photos library. Let's click full access. So now I'll go to the home screen and launch the Photos app. You have noticed we have the drawing in the Photos library. So this is how to vibe code a fully functioning iOS drawing app using the newly released O3 model and ChatGPT Chat Bar. We can still go ahead and add more functionalities to the app, but I will leave it here for you to continue. You can get the source code from the description of the video. So I encourage you to go ahead and get it from GitHub, try it yourself, and also continue to add any functionality you want.